Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. My name is Joe. Today I'm going to be continuing what I am going to call Tanktoberfest, and that means another game dealing with, what else? Tanks. So I recently did a series on American Tank Ace, which is a brand new game designed by Gregory M. Smith, published by Compass Games, a board game, solitaire. Excellent game, really enjoyed it. I highly recommend checking out that video if you have any interest at all in either the topic or you love solitaire narrative style games. I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend that game. But for our second game in this series, which will probably cover 3 or maybe 4 games, we're going to look at a game called Armored Commander, which you can see it here. It's actually Armored Commander II. Now, the original Armored Commander video game or PC game was based on Patton's Best, which is an old board game from the 80s, I believe. And, you can still find it on the secondary market. Some people really enjoy it. Others find it a little bit too overwrought in terms of rules. But regardless of that, Gregory Adam Scott, he is the designer of Armored Commander and Armored Commander II. The original game was based, as I said, on Patton's Best. This game takes it to another level. Goes beyond what was in Patton's Best, kind of into, a bit more of a kind of more thorough approach, more completist approach to the topic, as it covers tanks from almost every combatant and all phases of the war from 39 through 45. So you can play with Germans, you can play as the French, the British, the Russians, the Americans, the Japanese, the Italians, etc., etc. A wide variety, covering the entire war, essentially. So this is the title screen. As you can see, I have this on Steam. And it's reasonably priced as well. So it does have kind of a retro feel and look to it. It's, it's got that 16-bit kind of late 80s, early 90s vibe to the graphics. Nothing overly fancy. So if you're looking for, photorealistic type graphics, you're not going to find that here. So this is, more about the experience, more about the narrative of creating a tank and, managing a career through a campaign or multiple campaigns, etc., etc. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go new campaign. As you can see, when you first come in, you've got a lot of choices here. So this is early war, so 39 to 41, as you can see. So you can do, the Khalkhin Gol, Japanese and Soviet clash in the summer of 39. If you wish, in Mongolia, as either the Japanese or the Soviet Union. You have the Polish campaign. You can play that as well from the Polish side or the German side. Then you have you can even play the Polish campaign of the Red Army, which they call the Liberation Campaign. You have the Winter War from the Finnish side and the Soviet side. The 18 Days Campaign, which is basically playing as Belgium against the Germans. France from the French and German side and the UK side. The Desert Rats in North Africa, where you can play as the Brits, the Italians, the Africa Corps, and then you have the Germans and the Soviets. You can also play as the Finns in the Continuation War, and you can even play as the Italians during Barbarossa, invading the Ukraine as the Italians. So a lot of choices there. I'm going to go to mid-war. Late war, you can actually see there's actually a Patton's Best campaign, which kind of, covers what that board game covered. You're in the 4th Armored Division, and you're participating in Patton's campaign basically from, France, Battle of France, and into Germany from July of 44 until the spring of 45 when the Germans surrendered. And as you can see, there are a lot of other ones here, including Iwo Jima, Luzon, Market Garden. You can play as the first Polish 1st Armored Division. Free French. You could do Bagration to Berlin from the German side or the Soviet side, etc. There's just tons of campaigns in here. So I'm actually going to do And as you can see, there's a tons of, there. Like I said, there's a ton of these. I'm going to go to the Operation Avalanche to the Winterline American campaign. So this is Italy. We've had Operation Torch, which was the invasion of North Africa. That has been successfully completed, followed by Operation Husky, the invasion of Sicily. And now we're into the fall of 1943 and the invasion called Operation Avalanche, which was the invasion of Italy itself. So we're going to start off in Salerno and fight our way up the boot, so to speak. So that's the campaign I'm choosing to play. I'm going to play as the Americans. We'll have a similar feel to, the American Tank Ace, which takes place in France. But the tank, the M4 Sherman, is the same tank I'm going to play in this. So once we select it, you hit Tab. You come in and you have your campaign options. Player commander, that means you command your own tank. I want to do that. That's on. I'm going to turn this off, these fate points, which basically gives you kind of an undo so you can negate bad things that happen. I want realistic explosions. I want to pick my tank. I don't want to be by myself. I'll have squad mates. And I do want to have realistic injuries. So I select that, and then I can move on again by hitting Tab. This is a keyboard-driven game. There's some mouse functionality, and I'll show you that in a second. But overall, you're going to be using the keyboard to control this. So I'm going to select, as you can see here, we've got the M7 Priest, which was a self-propelled 105mm howitzer. We have our base M4 Sherman, very familiar from American Tank Ace that I just played. We have the A1 model of the Sherman, and depending on the vehicle you pick, you could see here we get a VP modifier of -10% for kind of upgrading our tank prematurely, essentially. You also have the other tanks. You have the M3 Lee medium tank, and then we have the light tanks, the M3 A1 Stuart and the M5 A1 Stuart. And you get a description here that explains what the differences are, basically. There's also kind of a neat thing that you can access from the main menu to look at all the different vehicles in the game, and there are a ton of them. And there's aircraft and everything. This is a very, very well done game. Now, you might look at it and say, oh man, these graphics are terrible. They look like something from 1985. And yeah, the graphics are basic, but this game is really, really well done. It's a very well done game. So I'm going to select my M4 Sherman, hit Tab. We go into the campaign, Operation Avalanche, Salerno. So it says, now that the island of Sicily has been captured, this week Allied forces begin landing on continental Italy, facing determined German defenders. It is September 11th, 1943, the first day of a potentially 42-day-long campaign. It is 5:35 a.m., and we have no victory points over here. So our mission for today is an urban assault. We face a tough challenge assaulting a well-defended urban area. We must take each building and street in turn in order to secure control. We do have air support, artillery support, and unit support. So we're going in fully loaded for bear, so to speak, with all our assets. Now over here you have your command menu, and you'll see the same kind of thing in-game. But for this one, you can do one, which is proceed, which is where we are right now. So if I hit Tab, we'll just go right into the mission. Here you can see your crew and vehicle. So we've got our M4 Sherman, and you got a little bit of a note here about it. That it became the main battle tank for Allied forces in the war. It entered production in 1942. This is the welded hull design with a vision cupola for the commander. You have your commander, your gunner, your loader, driver, and assistant driver, 5-man crew. You can look at the crew. So here's our commander, Willard Belanger. He has no nickname. He's 23 years old, with his date of birth being November 13th of 1920. He's a corporal. He is the commander. He's got a perception of 3, morale of 1, grit of 1, knowledge 3. He's in good order, means he's healthy, no fatigue. And this is his skill set: superior firepower, experienced commander, a trained gunner, and driver. So he can operate the tank, which is nice. Down here you'll see any injuries he might have. His level, he's a 4. He's got 93 experience points, needs 73 more to advance to level 5, etc. We can change his name if we want to by using the F key for first, L for last, N for nickname. We can also increase stats, etc. I just usually just go with what they give me. It's a little extra challenge maybe for me. So once we're done, we hit escape. We go back to the main menu. We can look at our gunner, Arnold Cox. He's a PFC. You can see he's got an experienced gunner and a trained driver skill. So obviously men can get injured, and you can swap guys around to cover other positions and so on. Hopefully we won't deal with that, at least not right away. Howard Halstead is our loader. He's got no skills. He's 20 years old. He's a private, so pretty much a raw recruit here. Our driver is Gordon Weston. He's also 20 and a private. He's an experienced driver, so that's good. And then our assistant driver, George Bush, or Boucher maybe, 20 years old, private, assistant driver, no skills. So these guys will gain experience, assuming I don't get them killed. And so that's the crew and vehicle screen. 3 is your journal. Not much going on. Nothing's happened yet. It's 5:35 on September 11th of 43. Nothing going on. 4 is our field hospital. Nobody's in the hospital. Nobody's been hurt yet, thankfully. So we can go back to 1 and hit tab to start our day. All right, so now we get our ammo. We don't have shrapnel or Willie Pete available right now. We do have high explosive, armor piercing, and smoke available. Now, here's our loadout. We can load a max of 90 rounds, and we can have 6 in the ready rack. We will, I'm just going to let the autofill do it. If I hit X, loads us up, and we are fully loaded. This is kind of a standard loadout, 59 high explosive, 22 armor piercing, and 9 smoke. And we only have HE and AP in the ready rack. So once we do that, we can move on to the mission. Okay, so looks like we've got rain, and it's hot. The ground is dry, but that may not stay that way since it is raining. Okay, this is where the mouse comes in. We can hover over things and see information. So we've got factories up here, tower blocks. We've got a park, more factories, some storage tanks. Up here we've got a cathedral, which it says is now a largely bombed out shell. So anything here that's yellow is a objective, an objective. And you can see at the bottom down here, it says, if I hover over that again, you get 10 victory points if we destroy the enemy presence in this zone and capture it for our side. Now over here, again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 again. So 1 is supply. It'll show you what you've got in terms of your rounds. 2 is our crew, so we can see our crew. 3, we can see our air support, artillery support, etc. And 4 is our battle group. We've got 2 M4 Shermans with us. So we are going to move here, and I will move. What do we have here? We have 6 victory points for capturing this. So let's use E and move in that direction. So you get an arrow that shows you it's hex based, so it's basically hex movement. We've got 6 directions we can move in. Tells us it's going to take us almost an hour to get up there, but we're going to do it. So once we're ready, we can recon and see if there's anything in there by hitting R for recon. Estimated enemy strength in zone 6. So we know there's enemy units in there. So let's go get right into some fighting here. So the ground is now wet. We enter the enemy held zone and encounter enemy resistance. Okay, so we've been ambushed essentially. So now we have 2 enemy units. 1 here, 1 there. We don't yet know what they are. The first thing we need to do is in this command phase is we pick a position and give an order to each member of the crew. So our commander will spot, our gunner will spot, our loader will also spot. The driver, I'm going to actually give him an order to drive because I want to move. The assistant driver, we're going to leave on spot. So once you've got everybody with orders, actually we'll have him direct movement. This, well, no, we don't need to go hold down because we don't know what's up here yet. So we're going to just go hit space bar. Now we're in the movement phase. So here we can do move forward or reverse, pivot our hull, do an overrun attack. You have to be adjacent to do that. We can attempt a hull down, which is grayed out because it's not available. We can reposition ourselves, which doesn't leave the hex, but it maybe moves us within the hex. And then we can try to conceal our tank. So they know we're here, so I don't see the point in trying to conceal. So I am going to pivot my hull. This guy's closer, so I'm going to pivot towards him. Or actually, I could just move up. Let's just move up. Okay, so sometimes you attempt to move and you don't actually leave the hex. So they're firing at us. And now we know what this is. It's an SPW 251, so it's an armored personnel carrier. We still don't know what this guy is. The yellow is our range, essentially. We're back in our command phase. So we're going to say direct fire. Our gunner is going to operate the gun. Our loader will reload. The driver will drive, and we'll let Boucher continue to spot. So we're going to move to the next. We're going to move to our movement phase. Now, because we're moving, that's going to impact our ability to successfully hit the enemy. But it's worth it because I want to get up close and personal with this guy. So we are going to move forward. And now we are going to rotate our turret to face him. And now I'm going to fire at him. But I'm going to fire at him up here. I can move to armor piercing, and we're going to fire. And it'll tell us that we only have a 5% chance of hitting. But I'm going to do it anyway. Because you can see attacker moving is a 50% penalty, right? Our base chance to hit is 83, but we got a lot of negatives. 5% off for rain, small target -12, target in rubble 15. We're getting a bonus of 4 for our commander being in the fire, directing the fire. So, but I'm gonna do it anyway. We're gonna fire. We're gonna miss, I'm sure. Yes, we missed, and now we'll move on. And we're gonna end the phase because I don't have any more weapons pointed that can fire at the moment. So they've got a machine gun team on the other side, so that's a fairly easy target, and we're not going to really worry about that. In fact, our squad mates destroyed it, so that enemy has been taken care of. So now we're back to our command phase. So we're going to have the driver spot now, and we'll leave the other ones the same, and we're going to basically just make sure we stop, and then we're going to fire. No line of sight to the target. How did that happen? Okay. Huh. We don't have a line of sight. I'm not sure why. They moved within, they must have repositioned, I guess, within their hex. So we're going to attempt an overrun on our next phase because I can't shoot at him, apparently. Yes, he repositioned, and he's now unspotted. All right. So let's just do this then. We're going to drive, and we're going to overrun attack. No, we can't do that either. All right. So we're going to pivot our hull, and we are going to go forward. Okay. Now let's rotate our turret so we're pointing at him. And we're going to fire. And we have a well, you know what? I won't even bother. We'll save our ammunition. And we'll end our phase. Now we will change our thing. We're going to put these guys on spot. And maybe we'll be able to see this guy this time. Okay, so we spotted them. Now we can see them again. Now we can fire. So we're going to fire. And we have a 15% chance to hit because he's moving now. But we're going to take a shot anyway and miss. So now we'll go again. He's firing back. I'm going to try to overrun him next time. He's moving. So he moved to our left. All right. So let's drive. Direct movement. And move to the movement phase. I'm going to pivot my hull so that he's straight ahead. And now we'll try the overrun attack. And we're bogged down. So, yeah, we don't have any shot really. And he's moving again. So, man, this thing is being a problem here. So let's see. I think if I leave him in drive, we can attempt to unbog the tank. So we're just going to leave this where it was. Now we're going to attempt an unbog, and we're still bogged down. So let's rotate our turret and take a shot. We might as well. Maybe we'll get lucky. Nope. Okay. All right. End phase. All right. Same thing. We're going to attempt to unbog, so I'm not going to change anything here. And we're still bogged down. So let's attempt to immobilize him. And we hit him. So now he can't run anymore. So that will help, because now we can move on. Let's move on. Action phase. They're shooting now, our squad mates. And we got them destroyed by one of our squad mates. So now we've advanced. You can see we've taken over this area now. The red outline indicates areas controlled by the enemy. So now we have an objective right here in front of us. It looks like it says there's an enemy supply convoy in that zone. So let's go after that. So we're going to go E again. And we're going to tab in. And we've got enemy resistance, which we figured. All right. So, well, now we have to try to figure out which one is which ones are trucks, I guess. So I'm going to leave everybody on spot except our driver, because we do want to move. And we're going to go forward. And we didn't actually, there's an Opel Blitz up there, so that's a truck. So we do want to go after that truck. All right, so let's, we want to fire. Have him reload. We'll direct the movement. Now we'll direct fire. All right. And so we're going to do that. We'll go move forward. And we... All right. Let's rotate our... We don't need to rotate our turret. I believe I have no line of sight to the target. I do have a line of sight here. And that target is a German armored car. So let's fire at him. Nope. I'm not wasting my ammo on that. So I'm going to skip out of that phase. Unspotted unit moves closer. All right. I'm going to stick with what we have here order-wise, and we're going to try to move forward. Oh, I can't get out of this hex. Oh. And we still have no chance of hitting that. So we have a second Opel over there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're not going to drive. What we're going to do is we're going to turn our turret, and I'm going to hit this guy. I'm going to try to anyway. So we're going to end that phase. We're going to rotate the turret. And we're going to fire high explosive at the truck. And we missed. Okay. All right. Okay, so we routed the motorcycle team. Oh, he's bogged down. So that is good for us. And we're going to rotate our turret again. And we will fire. Oh, man. I just can't hit anything. Partial hit. Okay, so that's good. So here we have the Opel 3-ton was hit by our 75 high explosive, base score to destroy. We have no modifiers, automatic destruction. So we did destroy one there. We finally got somebody. Now they destroyed that armored car. So now we've got these two other Opels that we have to attempt to get here. So now we need to move to... Oh, we're good there. All right. We're going to drive. Oh my God, we just can't get out of this hex. And we can't rotate the turret. All right, well, that was useless. All right, gunner, fire. Miss. All right, let's drive. We just cannot move out of this hex. And they fire, and apparently my squad mates can't hit this guy either. Oh, all right. Well, we got him. One truck left. So we're going to drive. We'll move on. We are going to not be able to move out of this hex because apparently that is the lesson to be learned here. All right. Well, we'll take a no line of sight. All right. Well, now unspotted. don't believe that I cannot fire. I cannot move out of this hex. This is terrible. All right, well, let's take a shot at him. Nope, not going to do that. Oops. Moving on. Let's stop. We can't move anyway, so we won't try to drive. We'll just... All right. Ah, hit. That should destroy him. Yep, destroyed. All right, so we took out 2 of the 3 trucks. Our squad mates did some of the other stuff there. So as you can see, this is pretty much how this game works. Obviously, I probably don't want to play the entire scenario, only because it would take a long time. And I wanted to just more give a flavor here in this first video rather than going through the entire mission, essentially. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quit here. So if I go with that, you can see here we can do a save and quit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to save and quit. Go back to the main menu here. We do have a tutorial. There are options. There are mods. You can create your own scenarios. This game is pretty wide open in terms of being able to be modified and added onto. So as I mentioned, I am going to wrap this up for now. I will return to this and we'll pick up in a second part in the next day or two. But for now, that will do it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. It would also be much appreciated if you'd consider liking or sharing this video and or subscribing to my channel if you are not already a subscriber. If you are a subscriber, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. So for Hexed Encountered, my name is Joe. That is going to do it. And until next time, happy gaming.